Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today, in this video, we are going to be talking about the man you see on the screen, Alphari. So far, honestly, just from all the interviews he's been doing, the content he's been doing and stuff, and all the gameplay he's been showing on the Rift, I mean, through 3 games so far for Team Liquid, this guy looks like an absolute beast. I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of him. Slowly, he's becoming one of my favorite players in the entire LCS. So, I don't know, I'm just really excited to talk about this guy because, I mean, yeah, he's been doing it all. He's joining Team Liquid. He's hopefully giving them a new hope for a better year this year. But he's been just absolutely dominant so far as well, and it's super exciting to see an import come over and hopefully be ready to have a big season for TL and also help him out in a big way. But he recently did an interview for Travis Gafford where he talks about some things. I want to kind of show you guys that, give my reactions on that, because I think he does say some really good, really interesting things that I want to go over. But one second, I just wanted to say also that, can we take a second to acknowledge that this is the same guy? This is Alphari a couple years ago when he first got into the LEC, the EULCS at the time, on Misfits, and you know, like, that's the same guy. That's pretty crazy. No flame or anything, but I'm just saying, I mean, this man has come a long way in making it to the LCS, and I just thought that was a very interesting starting point for you, those of you who didn't know. Talking about Alphari and Travis Gafford, this interview he had after one of their games. Obviously, this video is called Alphari Explains Offers He Got from Teams and the real reason he joined Team Liquid. So, one of the main things I wanted to talk about was he is asking about, you know, how did this process work out? How did this offseason go? How did you end up on Team Liquid? And Alphari starts to talk about how a lot of people say people come to NA just for the money. And here's what he has to say about that, because I really did love this answer.
A lot of people as well. Like, I see people on Reddit or Twitter being like, well, you know, people go to NA just for money. And money is obviously a factor, but I had nearly exactly comparable offers from at least one European team. And yeah, like, if I wanted, like, the money was basically the same, you know? So that might surprise some people to hear, but yeah, that was the thing, and I just decided that this would be like the best chance to make the Worlds. I respect CoreJ a huge amount.
So, I mean, that is a really big thing, and I think that will surprise some people, because, yeah, a lot of people say that these imports just come over to NA for the money. They just come over to collect a check, and I thought this was interesting in a couple of reasons. One, obviously, he doesn't say which team was able to offer him the same amount of money as Team Liquid, but my mind goes to Team Vitality right away. That was a team who all offseason we heard they have some extra money. They're trying to throw some money around. They're trying to form a super team, and I know that a lot of the other teams in Europe maybe don't have that money. So they are making some big strides. I know obviously G2's throwing around a ton of money. Vitality's been rumored. There are some other teams with some money, but for the most part, the European teams don't throw around money quite like Team Liquid, quite like Evil Geniuses, 100 Thieves. I mean, even TSM gave a big contract this offseason. Cloud9's getting into that game a little bit. But Cloud9's a different story where they kind of sell off players to throw some money around, but they still do give out those big contracts. And at the LEC, just at this point, doesn't have as much money in the scene or as much money maybe, you know, foolishly being thrown away by the organizations, because obviously the LCS doesn't really have the results to back it up, but they maybe have the revenue to back it up in a different way. But it's been interesting. So Alphari says, you know, the money was the same, and I thought this was one, good to hear in a way, because that is good. If the money is about the same in the LCS and LEC, that is good for both of these leagues. One, it is good for the LEC because it means they're going to be hanging on to more of their players. You know, if they're able to offer more money to their guys, the people who do just want to go collect a check will be staying in the league, and they'll be collecting their check there, and they'll, you know, hopefully they'll keep the league heightened, because I know that's been one concern, that the LEC loses so many of their top talents to other leagues. And yes, they're able to constantly replenish it, but how much better would the league be if they had those old talents and the new talents put together? You know, it would definitely be better for the LEC. It's also better for the LCS, because when the LEC is paying more, yes, the LCS might miss out on a couple top talents here and there, but the people who just want to collect a check are less incentivized to come to the LCS and like steal our money and steal our checks or whatever, when the money is the same over in the LEC. So those people who are just motivated by money, and as soon as they get that check, they're going to lose all their motivation, their play is going to decline, those guys will stay over in the LEC, some of them. And that could overall be better for the LCS in a way. When somebody does, if the money's the same, when somebody actually does come over to the LCS, when they come to a North American team, it's because they actually want to, it's because they actually see something with that lineup, with that roster, with that team, and they're actually hungry to hopefully win and do more or be successful in North America, or to come to North America for a number of other reasons other than just for the money. So in a way, it can be better for both leagues, really, if the LEC teams are able to keep up with some of the financial stuff. And that does get me excited about Alphari, because again, If it was just about money for him, he could have stayed in the LEC. That would have been way easier. He'd be closer to his friends, closer to his family. He wouldn't be halfway across the world. And most people think the LEC is a better league anyway, so he'd probably have, a chance to develop more, become better. But obviously, like he says, he has a ton of respect for Corey JJ, and he does see Team Liquid as an amazing opportunity to make it back to Worlds because he's hungry to get back there, and I love to hear that. Obviously, I'm sure he's making a really, really good amount of money. I'm sure the money's not bad, but he is hungry to actually win because he had other offers. Vitality probably isn't making it to Worlds this year. If he wanted to just get money and stay in Europe, he could have just played with them. So that is exciting to hear. I'm glad that he wants, better. He wants to continue to compete and get better and all that stuff. And that is really awesome. That is great. But yeah, so I don't know if that's going to surprise people or not. But yes, it's not just about the money, and that can be a good thing. The other clip I wanted to talk about, I believe is at 17 minutes, where Travis asks him about what he thinks about the other top laners in the LEC and where he rates himself there. And this is another answer that was pretty good, pretty interesting, and pretty funny in my opinion, and something that we can talk about.
I mean, the way you put it, right? You say like, none of these guys are up to the elite, and I feel like I'm part of the elite. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think if I on a decent to good day, I would probably say I'm probably the best. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So I mean, the question that Travis asked him was, are you the best top laner in the league? Do you think you're the best top laner in the league? Because he was kind of talking about the LCS doesn't really have any good top laners because he says like Impact and Someday he does have respect for, but they're not NA top laners. But they are still very, very good. But he's saying the top lane shouldn't be that big of a challenge because when you look at the other guys, and he's not wrong. I mean, if Licorice has been kind of considered the best NA top for a while, he's not really looking that great recently. He'd had a good spring, but summer wasn't that hot. And so far for FlyQuest, he's not looking that great either. As far as the other NA tops, I mean, Broken Blade was in the LCS last year, obviously not an NA top, but he, he's gone now. And who's really left? I mean, there's not a lot of other big exciting names that people are going to be too worried about, that people are going to be too concerned about. Huni, even on TSM, even as another non-NA top, people aren't really too concerned about him so far this year. So it'll be interesting. And again, Alphari's off to a hot start, but he is saying that he believes he is the best top laner in the LCS. Fudge is another guy that maybe people want to watch out for, but again, he hasn't looked great. And Alphari, he's not like super talking trash. He's not flaming on anybody. He's not hating on anybody super hard, but I do still love to hear that confidence, obviously, that kind of swagger from him where he does believe that he is the best, but he obviously still has respect for some of these other guys, which can be interesting as well. But so far, again, I love what I'm hearing from this guy. I love what I'm seeing from this guy. He's doing great things, and he's looking good on the Rift so far, and I have no reason to believe he's not the best top laner. I mean, in Europe last year, he had pretty much the best stats in the league, first or second in pretty much every category. Him and Wonder, they're right there. They're both absolutely world class, world caliber players because we know Wonder is that, and Alphari is able to keep up with them. Someday and Impact are also very, very good. But I mean, Alphari, after seeing him, especially how he's doing so well so far in the LCS, and knowing that Santorin's going to come in this week and probably be able to help all of Team Liquid and especially their top junk synergy, hopefully level up even another step up, I would definitely be leaning towards Alphari as the best top laner in the LCS, especially headed into the season. Obviously, we'll see how things play out. We have no idea how the season's going to play out, and Impact looks good, and Someday is going to be a beast as well. But I do love that we're getting a big talent over the LCS, in the prime of his career, when he's hungry to keep winning. And yeah, he sees Team Liquid as just an awesome opportunity to make it back to Worlds, which is great. He respects the players on the team. He sees it as a big opportunity, and he sees the LEC as maybe just not a great opportunity for him because he sees G2 as a very, very dominant team at the top, which is pretty much taking away a World spot, and then you have 9 teams competing for 2 spots, where in the LCS, every team kind of has more of a chance because the LCS doesn't really have a G2, and if we did, it would be Team Liquid at this point. So, he's kind of on the best team on paper in the LCS. And that's going to give him a chance to go back to Worlds and maybe even just a chance to go to MSI and prove himself on that international stage once again, which it seems like he really, really wants. And if Alphari wants that, and that's why he's coming over to Team Liquid, I love that he has faith in the LCS, that he thinks Team Liquid can do awesome things. But he needs to, have a good regular season so they can get a good seed, so they can win the playoffs, so they can go to MSI, so they can go to World, and then, he'll have a chance to prove himself against all the best top laners in the world. So I think it's awesome that he has goals. He has things that they're all working towards. Team Liquid has all the pieces in place to do this. I definitely do think they are the best team. And yeah, and another interesting thing he said in this interview was he said that aside from G2, he thinks most of the teams in the LCS and the LEC are on the same level. He said the top of the LEC, obviously G2 is better than the top of the LCS. I don't think anyone would agree with that. He said he thinks the bottom of the LCS is worse than the bottom of the LEC too. That could be correct, but man, Astralis is pretty rough, so I don't know, maybe. But he said the 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the LCS are pretty comparable to the 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the LEC, and I think we've seen that at Worlds as well. Like, yes, maybe Fnatic looked a little bit better than some of the LCS teams, but Rogue didn't look like anything special compared to the LCS teams. Mad Lions obviously didn't make it as far as Team Liquid made it last year, and Team Liquid almost made it out of their groups as well, and FlyQuest didn't look horrible either. So, I mean, NA and EU, there's not that big of a difference between them, but he just sees Team Liquid as an opportunity to meet the goals that he has set out for himself, and it seems like Team Liquid's goals and Alphari's goals are lining up. He's great, they're great, they all want to be great, so hopefully that adds up to good things for Alphari, good things for Team Liquid, and in turn just good things for the LCS and the West, because at the end of the day I am a fan of the whole West. I want to see us do well, I want to see us go to these international events and do good, and I think Alphari gives us a better chance of doing that. And again, he's quickly becoming one of my favorite guys to talk about, one of my favorite guys to watch play, and just one of overall my favorite players in the LCS. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. It helps me out so much with the YouTube algorithm. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about all this? Do you think Alphari is the best top laner in the LCS? Do you think he's being a little cocky? Do you think it's somebody else, Impact someday? Whoever. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay updated on my latest content. We're trying to hit 7,000 as soon as we can. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!